Reflecting on last night's Mansfield game and looking forward to the Bristol Rovers game on Saturday. My name's Paul Fish. I'm joined by Liam Norcliffe, and we're going to discuss the loss that happened into the most bitterest of rivals, Mansfield Town. And yeah, as I say, look forward to that. But Liam, a 2-0 loss, Chesterfield again lose out in the first round of the EFL Cup, an appalling record. And yeah, apart from that, those are the negatives. What positives can they take from that performance?
None at all. No, we're doing this podcast through gritted teeth, aren't we? Today, let's
Mm.
face it. Yeah, we would have been loved to have been talking about a win, but yeah, we committed to the pod earlier in the week. We said we were going to reflect on it, and now we are paying the price. So yeah, we're going to talk about this game through gritted teeth, and then move on very quickly to Bristol Rovers. But yeah, disappointing result, but yeah, the first half performance, they came up against a goalkeeper, didn't they? Who had the game of his life. You know, I've looked at Liam Roberts' career, and he's not really had a home. I don't think he's been here, there, and everywhere. And so it sounds like he's pulled off, some heroics, some great saves, a lot of different types of saves as well. One down to low to his right, one top corner left. A quick reaction save from close range from that Dunkley header. Some of the football that Chesterfield played in that first half has got to be some of the best football that we've seen, if not the best football that we've seen since Paul Cook returned to the club. It was just wave after a wave of attack, wasn't it? It was one-way traffic, and obviously they gave that early goal away, but after that it was just all Chesterfield, and you just felt it was a matter of time before they were going to score. Some of the combinations, the way they won the ball back, they spreaded the play, crosses in the box, got the shots off. It was sort of edge of the seat stuff, wasn't it? It was fast and furious. It was hectic as you would expect for a derby game. The fans fed off that energy, and then, but obviously, the longer the game goes on, and you don't score, you go 1-0 down at half time. Frustration sort of kicks in, doesn't it? And it probably does creep into the minds of the players of, is this going to be our night? Are we going to score? Obviously, the second goal was really soft, isn't it? Individual mistake, and I think that just knocked the stuffing out of him, didn't it? It just killed it a little bit and gave Mansfield a lift. There's a lot of talk after the game about sort of maybe disappointment out in how Chesterfield reacted after going 2-0 down. Lots of people talk about maybe a lack of effort. Don't really see it like that, if I'm honest. I think it was probably more the fact it was a bit of a psychological blow, and they were sort of coming to terms with the fact that they'd given absolutely everything and they just couldn't find their way past Roberts, and then now they found themselves 2-0 down. So yeah, it was stings a bit, doesn't it?
Mm.
First derby game in 7 years, great crowd, 9,500, but lots of positives. And not wanting to sound like it's sour grapes, but Chesterfield played the progressive football, the modern day football, if you like, and I think I'd still rather be in Chesterfield's dressing room than I would Mansfield's.
Um, yeah, well, obviously after the game, yeah, they were absolutely cock a hoop. They were the changing room had all the music blaring out and everything as well as right as they should do as well. And a little dig at where Chesterfield's ground is in location from their Twitter feed as well. A big day out at Big Tesco or something that they said. So yeah, good on. That's very funny. Yeah, we spoke off air, didn't we, about that opening opportunity from Will Grigg. Had that gone in, that could have changed the whole concept and complex of of the game, of course, and another good save from Liam Roberts as well there, because that was something Chesterfield had worked on, hadn't they? But I spoke to Danny Webb after the game as well, and Chesterfield's Achilles heel is that their goal was quite simple in concept as well, wasn't it? It was a forward pass, a simple 1-2. The runner was sort of tracked and then he wasn't, and it was a run through to slot past Hemming. Now we've seen Hemming save one-on-ones before in the opening day, haven't we? That time though he couldn't quite get to it though. So it set the tone really that Mansfield were there when they got the early goal. I love the Chesterfield reaction from that. I love the fact that Chesterfield went on, didn't let it bother them, and then targeted for the rest of the half going forward and having so many opportunities. Dobra and, like you said as well, with Dunkley with the effort. That wonderful pass from Mark Ande through to Darcy through the middle, straight through the middle.
That's
And
that, isn't it? That one. That's probably the big chance, if you like. The XG would probably be high on that one.
I would agree with you there, yeah. And he didn't seem to get a connection. He seemed to be sort of stretching for it when he had the strike, so he didn't get as much power as he probably would have liked. He was a bit too comfortable for Robertson on that occasion. But second half, yeah, they couldn't quite match the tempo that had been brought. And Clough obviously made some changes as well, didn't he? He swapped the side about. I mean, Bowery, as I mentioned in the tweet last night, played in three different positions. He was key for them going forward, and he was absolutely cock a hoop afterwards. Um, with the performance, obviously, he's a Nottingham boy. Um, left Chesterfield for good money. Surprised Aston Villa paid that amount of money for him, but found himself back at Mansfield, and he's been there for 5 years, and he had a good game. But they had to work hard for that victory, did Mansfield. And I tell you what, they defended superbly well. They really were good in the second half. Mansfield. They blocked anything that Chesterfield had. They sort of spread the play a little bit, didn't they? The three centre halves and the full backs as well, all sort of moved wide just to stop any angle that Chesterfield had got. There were big gaps through the middle, but Chesterfield decided to try and target the wide areas, and they were blocked at times. And it was fascinating to see the sort of duel between the two, because you see that Mansfield with their 3-5-2 that they like to have against the 4-2-3-1, and how that can develop. Sometimes there's areas, and but for a brilliant goalkeeping performance, Chesterfield would have found themselves, 3 or 4 goals to the good. It was fascinating after Mansfield got that opening goal, how they dug in, and the second half in particular, when Chesterfield ran out of ideas. The second goal, Chesterfield mistake, obviously. You're absolutely right. It was like a balloon had burst in the ground, and nobody could get the momentum. All of a sudden, the away supporters then are thinking, right, this is on now. 25 or so minutes to go. We're in pole position here, because whatever they throw at us, we've just battered back. And it's Mansfield's night. And again at the SMH, that's third time now they've won on at Big Tesco, as they like to call it. So that's the last time I ever say that for that. And credit to them, they were worthy of, purely on a defensive way. You'd go off absolutely knackered at the end of that game, the Mansfield players, and they were worthy of their supporters doing that. And I liked the way that they stood in front of their fans for a good 5 minutes, didn't they? Because they'd worked hard for that victory. Chesterfield made them do that, and it was a good game. I felt, even slightly one-eyed here from a blue perspective, of course, but I'd be delighted if it was Chesterfield doing that at Mansfield. I'd be absolutely delighted, and I've no problems with it. I have a problem with the result, of course, but I've got no problem with Chesterfield's performance. I thought Chesterfield were excellent, and Mansfield again excellent as well. I thought it was a good game for a derby. Normally they're quite close, aren't they? And that one was quite open at times, apart from when the second goal went in.
Yeah, we have to admit Mansfield were much improved after the break defensively, weren't they? They'd reorganised themselves, and I think they were a little bit calmer in their approach. And the second goal definitely gives them a boost and gives them something else to hang on to. And then their fans obviously get a lift from that as well. One of the talking points from the game is Chesterfield's centre back pairing. A little bit of noise around Shea Dunkley and Cal McFadzean, which I don't really agree with. People sort of questioning them. Shea Dunkley was man of the match against Barrow, and Cal McFadzean was man of the match against Cheltenham. Yes, last night McFadzean gets rolled a little bit. He tried to get tight to Dwyer, was it? And he just got rolled a little bit, and then Oates sort of catches Dunkley a little bit flat-footed, and it's a neat finish into the bottom corner. And then for the second goal, obviously, it's a clear individual mistake from Shea Dunkley. To be honest, I'd rather it have happened to Shea Dunkley than one of the younger players, because I think Dunkley will easily be able to shrug that off. He'll probably be a little bit disappointed, last night and today, but I don't think he's going to take it into his performance in a negative way against Bristol Rovers. So on one hand, I feel like he could take it on his shoulders, rather than one of the younger players. But just going back to that centre-back pairing, like I say, both of them have had a man-of-match performance, maybe caught out a little bit last night. I'd still back them to be strong for the remainder of the season. And if those two remain fit, I think Chesterfield got a very good chance of getting promoted. Yes, both lacking a little bit of pace, but the defender box so well, great leaders, just bring so much to the table. I don't think we should be criticising them too much. A bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I know emotions are high, aren't they, after such a defeat against your rivals? But I think, maybe a little bit more perspective is needed on that subject.
Yeah, there's a lot of crybabies out there, isn't there? As soon as just reacting to the sort of loss, aren't they? Without sort of breaking it down a little bit about that. There are two defenders there who hadn't conceded a goal in 180 minutes as well, along with the goalkeeper as well. They shouldn't come into any criticism really, apart from the fact that they did that on the night. That's it. You move on from that. You get over your mistakes with that. I'd be happy with Dunkley and McFadzean as the two centre halves for the remainder of the season. I got no problem with that as well going forward. In fact, Dunkley and McFadzean will probably be candidates for Player of the Year going forward. You can probably see that. So
But
it's just
Ronan Darcy was very impressive.
yeah.
For a start, I think he was probably Chesterfield's best player. 75 minutes. We got a good glimpse of what he's about, didn't we? Full of energy, direct running. Took the game to Mansfield, took up some great positions, ran in behind. Probably should have scored, like we said, but it was still a decent save. I think we got a really good idea of what he's about, and I'd like to see more from him.
Yeah, exactly. He showed. He wouldn't surprise me if he started on Saturday as well. Yeah, it's a shame about Matt Dibley-Diaz as well. I thought he was linking up well because he allowed Darcy to go forward. Dibley-Diaz was that link between him and Stirk, weren't they? So it's a shame that he went. It seems like he's rolled his ankle again, according to Danny Webb, after the injury that he got in Spain. So we'll have to see that. And they brought Naylor on, and I've seen lots of fans saying that they brought Naylor on and Chesterfield were a changed side from that. Well, of course, Naylor hasn't got the legs of Dibley-Diaz. Could he have brought Butterfield on a bit earlier? But he could have done. But he went with the experience of Naylor. Now, Naylor's a Sutton Ashfield boy playing against his former club. That might have come into consideration for Paul Cook going with experience, there, as well as helping out defensively. But, there was a bit of a sea change, wasn't there, when Naylor came on?
I thought Dibley-Diaz did really well. For someone to make his first start in that type of game, in that atmosphere, I think he played beyond his years. Really, he didn't look overawed or intimidated or anything like that. We could tell straight away from sort of 5 minutes in that he was going to be absolutely fine. didn't look out of place at all, and it was a shame because he provided some good legs in the centre of midfield. Yeah, he's done his ankle. It's the same ankle that he injured in pre-season, so we'll just have to see whether they've managed to sort of rescue it in time because he wanted to continue, but it was already starting to swell. So you'd probably have to say he's going to be a doubt for Saturday, given that
Probably Gillingham as well then.
you'd have thought so. And I think he had the same ankle injury at Northampton on loan last season as well. So hopefully he can find a solution to that and it doesn't become a long-term problem for him. Yeah, and obviously Luke Butterfield, I think it was the right decision to bring Tom Naylor on. He's had 2 really good games. He's experienced head. I think it probably would have been a bit too soon just to throw Luke Butterfield on in such a game, given that his first appearance of the season. I think that might have been a big ask. And I think if it had been the other way around, I think people probably would have been saying, why didn't Naylor come on? I mean, on that, I'd say that it must be such a difficult game to come on and get into in terms of the speed of the game, the pace of it. It must have been really difficult because, it was absolutely frantic, wasn't it? It was hectic. So I've got sympathy for Tom Naylor, to be honest.
I agree. And they'd obviously looked at it tactically as to what they could have done for, and just went with the old head, didn't they? Really, but I tell you what, when Butterfield did come on, he looked good, didn't he? He looked like he's quite happy to move the ball around, looking for options left and right. He moved the ball well, and I felt he's second half of the season. Hopefully, it's not a serious injury that he's done there because he could be out for a few weeks as well. But we'll see about that. But I thought he looks a real player, and he's quite tall as well, isn't he? So for a midfielder, maybe it's the young Ollie Banks, Liam.
He was there last night as well, Ollie Banks. He was watching. Um, I didn't think Vontae Daly-Campbell was going to start, if I'm honest. After his injury problems last season, I thought maybe 3 games in a week so early on would be a little bit of a risk. But yeah, I thought he had a really steady game.
He was my man of the match.
Probably more than steady, to be honest. Yeah, he had a good game, and that's really pleasing that he's got through that. As long as he did come through it okay.
Yeah.
I really thought he would probably be just managed, but yeah, really positive that he came through that. And some other, again, individual performances. Thought Ryan Stirk had another good game, and some of the touches and layoffs from Will Grigg. I know he didn't get a goal, but I thought, he was really classy in some of his hold-up play.
Yeah, Greg, he was unlucky actually not to score in the opening second. It was a well worked sort of scenario that. I expect Bonis to start on Saturday. Would you say that they're going to alternate? Do you think?
Yeah, I suppose it'll depend on how they think Bristol Rovers are going to come and set up. Obviously, they've lost 3 in a row now, haven't they, in all competitions? So whether they think Bonus can maybe stretch them a little bit more and create some space, or did they bring off Grigg after 60 odd minutes because they are saving for Saturday, and maybe Bonus starts at Gillingham, which is obviously just next Tuesday. So yeah, the games are coming thick and fast at the minute. But like I say, overall disappointing result. Really good first half, but obviously just couldn't score. Sloppy second goal, individual mistake, and yeah, it did go a little bit flat after that. But hopefully we're not waiting 7 years for the next derby game. Hopefully they can get up there and battle it out in League One next year. Although, yeah, I think it'll be tough for Mansfield. League One's a really competitive, strong league, and yeah, whether they've got enough to stay up, I'm not so sure.
Well, they've got Exeter at the weekend of Mansfield, but how did you find the derby, the atmosphere? How did you find it? It's different to say, let's go local. Let's a Wednesday United derby. Obviously, there's more people there, but the intensity seems the same, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it was electric, wasn't it? It was raucous. I thought both sets of fans, the Mansfield fans, obviously, we're in the ground early, aren't we? Getting ready for the and the Mansfield fans got a police escort to the ground, and I think they were in there just before 7 o'clock, a large number of them, and they were the tops off and the banging the drum and singing the song. So they were getting the atmosphere going, 40 a good 45 minutes before kick-off. Um, but yeah, in that first half, they were quiet despite they were 1-0 up, because I think they knew that their team were on the back foot and were up against the ropes, given how well Chesterfield were playing. But of course, obviously, when the second goal goes in, there's a bit of relief there, and yeah, I think they enjoyed themselves, didn't they? But yeah, fantastic first experience of the derby for me, despite the result. Fantastic crowd. For the stadium looked magnificent, with the pitch and the full stands, and hopefully we can just have more occasions like that, in the future.
Yeah, and despite a laboured pre-match music build-up, they played "Sailing" a minute before the kickoff to get everybody going. It was a slowed down version. I thought it worked well. In actual fact, I turned to somebody. So Kurt, that was it. I turned to Kurt and said I thought that actually quite worked, but I thought Chesterfield fans really made the noise with 5 minutes before kick-off. Me and Mansfield fans had come in early. Those who probably not old enough to drink. So they came in early, didn't they? And made a lot of noise. But Chesterfield fans really rose to the occasion, turning, it's 9,500 crowds. There's only a few seats left in, and that was pretty good. And that's one of the best atmospheres we've had for a while. I'd say at home. I'm trying to think of it was a good against Walsall, weren't it? Until they scored, of course. But yeah.
Some good cup games, some good atmospheres.
Mm.
But yeah, no, that was a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to hopefully covering more games between the two teams.
Well, there's always the FA Cup first round, so we might get them in that one. So which would be nice at Field Mill. Try and go there. So yeah, but that's that done. So we can park that appalling League Cup record. Move on to the bread and butter, as I mentioned to Danny Webb last night. Bristol Rovers at home, early kick-off. Chesterfield will be wanting to right a wrong from Tuesday. They'll be looking for no hangover, won't they?
Yeah, they're gonna. It's going to be difficult because it is an early kickoff, and sometimes it can be a little bit sleepy, can't it? It can be a little bit flat. So if they'll be desperate to try and repeat that first half performance against Mansfield, but I think it would be difficult given the effort that went in, the intensity that went in on Tuesday night. And of course, it's just a different feeling when it's a lunchtime kickoff. But hopefully, they can use it as motivation. Coming up against the Bristol Rovers side, relegated from League One, um, one of the favourites to go back up, but they've got off to a bit of a sticky start. 3 defeats in all competitions. They're looking to try and bring in a couple of players before the weekend to try and strengthen. So we know a little bit about Darrell Clark in terms of he's been a manager on the local scene just at Barnsley last season, and was probably a little bit harshly sacked. And I think he's a favourite down at Bristol Rovers, isn't he? So I think they're pleased to have him back.
He's a Mansfield lad.
He's a Mansfield lad, so
Mm.
he'll have been watching. Well, he'll be watching the game back on from Tuesday night, won't we? So that'll have given him an idea of maybe how to approach the game. But yeah, he's probably, if Chesterfield score first, as we always say, then they've got teams by where they want them, haven't they? Whereas again, if Bristol Rovers come and frustrate, then it could be a bit of a sleepy long afternoon. We could all be going home feeling a little bit down again. But they've just got to pick themselves up, and I think if all they need to do is just watch that first half back and realise how good that football was. And obviously, it's easier said than done. But if they can get anywhere near that, and obviously take the chances and not give sloppy goals away down the other end, then they've got every chance of picking up 3 points and making it 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those games where you think that I think that there was quite a few. I think I had a couple last season where Chesterfield played early doors, went against Cheltenham. I think they played a 12:30 kickoff, and the atmosphere was really flat, wasn't it? It was just one of those sort of sunny, Saturdays at 12:30. He didn't really want the 12:30. It works for us because we get home early, yeah, after the game. But kind of from the fans' point of view, it can be a little bit sort of. You'd probably want it at 5:30, to be honest, rather than 12:30, wouldn't you? Really, I think so. But yeah, Bristol Rovers obviously wanting to get straight back up there, and get back into League One, where they probably spent most of their time, haven't they? The gas. So big club, and they can attract 40,000 at Wembley. They can get the crowds, can't they? In Bristol for a big city. Obviously, living in the shadow of Bristol City is never easy for them. But yeah, it'll be a tough ask against the Darrell Clark side. But Chesterfield, I go back to again. Most of my points are going to be that Chesterfield need to get the early goal. Need to get an early goal, settle them down, and try and forge into a pattern going forward. There probably will be changes, I would say. Obviously, there will be now with Dibley Diaz being out injured. So, and we've talked about Grigg possibly 50-50 or maybe playing at Gillingham. We'll see about that. But would you change any of the three? Would you slot Darcy in? Would you keep him in with Duffy and Markande? And where would Dobra fit into that scenario?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I would keep Darcy in there, and you'd think that probably Duffy would come back in as someone who only sort of played like 25 minutes on Tuesday night. Maybe it's Dobra or Markande's turn just to sit this one for 60 minutes and then they can start against Gillingham on Tuesday. But it doesn't really matter, does it? I think they're all quality players, and that's the great selection headache that Paul Cook has. So yeah, I don't think it particularly matters too much. Yeah, we're probably gonna might have to make a change in central midfield. Other than that, I don't think there'll be too many changes. Like I say, is it Grigg? Is it going to be Bonus? Um, yeah. I suppose the proof will be maybe in the next few days of training. Paul Cook will obviously have a good look at them, won't he? And he'll be able to see whether they are a bit down or whether he thinks he needs to freshen up the team and bring some fresh legs back into the side. But I'm looking forward to it. Despite Bristol Rovers been having a bit of a tricky start, there's obviously a long way to go. So it'll be good to get a look at them and just to see where they're at, and whether they're just a team who might come strong as the season goes on. But yeah, it's an early look at a potential title rival, isn't it?
Indeed, and yeah, followed by another one at Gillingham on the Tuesday afterwards. We'll do a pod on Monday speaking about that going forward as well. But then they've got Harrogate the week after, so it's a case of this game. Saturday, Chesterfield never do well at Harrogate. They're a proper bogey side against the Spireites, so we've got that to look forward to going into it. But yeah, we had. I spoke to Danny Webb after the game. That is on BBC Sounds on your Chesterfield subscribed page if you want to take that into account. You were there for a Paul Cook interview with Sky, weren't you? And he also did one with 1866 Sport, which hasn't come out yet to by the time we're recording this. So maybe fans can listen to that later. But how was Cookie? I know you've done a piece on it, a short piece, haven't you, on his responses? But how was he?
Yeah. He's obviously, he hates losing, doesn't he? He's never. He's always a little bit spiky, if you like. He's always after a defeat. He's obviously doing media interviews. It's not his favourite thing, but he was perfectly respectable in his post match. Basically his main line was that the players deserve some credit for that first half performance, but gave two soft goals away, and the second goal was a killer. In his words, it just totally killed them. So yeah, he's very good at summing games up in a few sentences. He sees the game like we all do, and he never tries to pull the wool over fans' eyes. I don't think he never tries to sugarcoat it. He'll say it how it is, very straight talking. So yeah, it was his main message was that really. But yeah, you fancy him to rally the lads, wouldn't you, in the next few days and go again on Saturday?
Yeah, I remember the days when I used to interview Paul Cook. They were quite some time ago. Yeah, he picked up a yellow card. Nothing unusual there, didn't he? But by all accounts, that penalty was a penalty. I mean, it was difficult for us to see, isn't it, from the press box? We're not central. We're more towards the opposition penalty area. But that's the one which really riled him a little bit. I think that's why he picked up that yellow card.
Yeah, there was two, wasn't there? There's the Butterfield one, I think, on the edge of the box, and then there's the Dylan Duffy one. Um, yeah, both of them from where we were looked outside, but we are some distance away. And I've seen comments from fans saying they thought they were both outside. I haven't seen them back yet, if I'm honest, so I don't know whether they'll be shown on the highlights or not. Yeah, it would have definitely made things interesting, wouldn't it? It would have, even if they could have just got one with 5 or 10 minutes to go, it would have been interesting to see if that would have rattled Mansfield a little bit, or if Chesterfield would have really thrown the kitchen sink at them in that last few minutes. But yeah, it just wasn't to be, was it? And as we say, Chesterfield just don't get penalties, do they?
No, no. I spoke to Tom Naylor and Jamie Grimes afterwards. They said it was a nailed on penalty as well. So obviously one-eyed perspective from that as well. And we just there was a fan who fell down, I think, the stairs in the East Stand as well. I hope that they're okay, and they were getting attended to whilst the interviews were going on. So hopefully they'll be okay.
I,
Excuse me.
I have seen some comments from people on Facebook saying that they've had a message from, I think, a family member saying that the gentleman is fine, is okay. So yeah,
That's good.
best wishes to them.
Indeed, BBC Radio Sheffield, myself and Lee Turnbull will be doing full match commentary on Saturday from 12 o'clock. It is a half 12 kick-off. You can get up-to-date stuff, live updates on the Derbyshire Times Chesterfield FC page with Liam, who's there. He's also got a book out as well, we were mentioned in the last episode, putting on a show.
I've not even asked you to do that either. You should be my agent.
It's what I'm here for. So yeah, putting on a show. So that is on verticaleditions.com. You can go on their webpage and order it as well. It's a very good read, even if I do say so myself. From that, all the interviews will be on BBC Sounds on the Chesterfield subscribe page, and Liam's written stuff will be up straight after kickoff, won't it? Virtually.
Yeah. Well, after full time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can catch it with that. Chesterfield, I've got a game Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, so it's going to be a busy time for Liam and I. We will be doing pods after every game as well.
Don't forget.
Sorry.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Exactly. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back with you on Monday, I would say. Yeah, Monday is our next pod for this. So Liam will do a few stuff as well from the presser, which comes out on Friday.
Yeah, Friday morning.
So Friday morning as well, there'll be an audio interview as well with Danny Webb on BBC Radio Sheffield. So be sure to catch that. Thanks very much again for listening and subscribing to our page as well. We're really enjoying this at the moment and getting some good feedback. So thank you very much.